Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about having an Aries Mercury in a natal chart. Now, some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on Mercury signs in the natal chart. Now, what I decided to do was do another series on the Mercury placements and make them a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, because they were a little bit concise and some people may refer to them as a little bit snappy. So anyway, first thing, as far as Mercury goes, for Aries Mercury goes, communication generally can be abrupt, can be aggressive. And even if your sun is in passive Pisces, they're going to be likely more assertive when you speak than the typical sun in Pisces person. And also too, it's about, the Aries Mercury can be very quick and spontaneous with what they say. They don't always think before saying something. Now, some of this, as far as thinking before speaking, some of that has to do too, though, with Mercury placement in relation to the sun. So, for example, if Mercury is posited before the sun, then the person, Aries Mercury, may be a little more apt to think before speaking. But if you have an Aries Mercury and your Mercury is posited after the sun as well, then that you're really maybe somebody that could be really very exceptionally impulsive in your speech. And also too, because you may act before speaking. Now the thing is, now as far as the communication goes, again, Mercury and Aries can be enthusiastic and very outspoken and direct with what they say. They generally don't mince words or hold back in their communications. Their communications can often be, I would say, incisive, really to the point. They're not ones that are going to, be inundated with details. They just like to get to the point and often will say things with the fewest amount of words as possible. They can also be impatient in their communications. Whether it could be waiting on a response for someone or what have you. They generally not the most patient of people in terms of matters connected with conversations, communications, and writings or what have you. And also, they may be apt to be a little bit presumptuous in their thinking because in their communication, because again, they often may speak before getting all the facts and jumping to conclusions quickly on people when it's not necessary. So it's something to remember if you have this placement in your chart. Now, another thing too about Aries Mercury, it's also, Mercury's connected with our thinking. It's about, processing, assimilating information. So having an Aries Mercury, like the communication, as I talked about before, they could be very, impatient if they're trying to, process information on how to put, say they're trying to put something together. They may get irritated if it's something like a time-consuming, report or writing or instructions or what have you. So they need Aries Mercury. They can learn. They may be able to learn quickly, but they need to be able to have more patience and study things. Whether it's a diagram, trying to assemble something, whatever it might be, and also to, excuse me, they might be a little bit, when you have, Aries Mercury, again, they could be, going back to the presumptuous, in terms of communication. Their thinking can be that way as well. And also, they may be really about, learning as far as what they may want to learn. It can be, things like with fighting technique or learning to be, firefighter or welder or doing something with carpentry as some examples. And the mind can be very active as well. Mercury is also associated with siblings, cousins, and neighbors. So people with an Aries Mercury, siblings, cousins, and neighbors, one or more of them may actually be an Aries sun, moon, or ascendant person or simply embody Aries characteristics. These people may be, sometimes the situation with these people may be contentious and combative. It could be where these people may be involved, maybe leaders may be involved in an Aries profession, like doing something with welding or carpentry or speech pathology. It could be like helmet design, or be involved in like a violent sport like football or hockey, as some examples. And the thing too about Mercury in astrology. Okay, Mercury is also associated with our early education. So having an Aries Mercury, the person, may have been impatient, in some to some degree in their early education during that time, during grade school, middle school, high school, and but often would learn quick. But they could also, there might be more, battles with the students. There may have been a situation with the fellow classmates, may have been contentious at times, but at the same time, he or she may have been one that would be apt to stand up for those people and fight for those people on their behalf as well. And the thing is, it probably had a lot of person likely had a lot of activity, during their early education, and had a desire to stay busy and active. Another thing too about Aries Mercury, well, Mercury is connected with short journeys. So, the short journeys, Aries Mercury, people have to be careful of possible, road rage. There could be a greater propensity for that than the other Mercuries, I would say, because Aries, is ruled by Mars, is connected with anger, but and also too, it could be short journeys, maybe about sports venues, or I should say combat sport venues, going to some karate event. And they may also be very spontaneous and unplanned, very quick and abrupt as well. But there can be propensity for accidents as well. Aries is connected with accidents, and there may be a little greater proclivity for that, because there might be some recklessness with the driving and some impatience. So, and the driving may often be fast for these people, even if the sun is in Taurus. The driving, can be a little bit quick at times. So Aries Mercury people need to be careful as far as that goes. Now, also too, Mercury is associated with the rational mind. And, having Aries Mercury, the rational mind may sometimes be affected by anger and angry thoughts. It can be, where if somebody says something provoking to Aries Mercury, the rational thinking may be strongly affected by that, because it might cause some mental agitation. Aries Mercury is being antagonized by somebody. That's where the rational thinking, may be adversely affected. So this is really just it's rational thinking. I mean, that's how the rational mind may be affected. So, anyway, well, Mercury is also associated with analysis. So, having an Aries Mercury, as far as analysis goes, going back to the impatience with the sign, analysis may be done very impatiently, very quickly if they're trying to analyze a situation. Maybe they often analyze how to lead or how to demonstrate leadership in a situation, whether it's literally leading, being, taking on like an authority or managerial role, or whether it's simply leading by example. It could be something, connected with new beginnings. They may be often pondering and analyzing things that are connected with physical strength, trying to gauge, like, for example, if the person's a weightlifter, trying to analyze and gauge, well, how much am I going to be able to bench press, at this point in time, if I worked out vigorously for 6 months, things of that nature. And things that, and also too, it could be analysis sometimes, of things that are anatomically connected with Aries, such as the skull, the face, and the brain. There may be some analysis on that at some point, in time on those things. And whether it's in a through a job position or what have you, the person does something with brain surgery, as an example. But anyway, Mercury is also connected with the hands and manual dexterity. So with an Aries Mercury, the person may be adept at doing, maybe carpentry with good dexterity, welding, something with surgery. But at the same time, there may be more susceptibility to cuts, abrasions, burns on the hands because Aries is associated with that being ruled by Mars. And anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.